Hello there. So, on a journey, I thought I'd take the opportunity to speak about some of the things I've been aware of, especially in the last week. And from a shamanic perspective, it seems to be that there's definitely a divergence of two increasingly defined timelines. One timeline leads to more control and restriction, and the other timeline is seeing a relaxing of controls, a relaxing of restrictions, and people finally able to start to get on and to live their lives the way that they wanted to. And there's so much to unpack about this, isn't there? So there's something I want to mention. So in 1981, a person published a book, and in that book there's a particular paragraph which he wrote which was very prophetic. So he was prophesying things that were going to happen decades later. I'm also reminded of the Sex Pistols, who were in the 1970s brought out an album called Never Mind the Bollocks, and in that album there's a song called God Save the Queen, and it says God Save the Queen, and then the next line that comes up in their fascist regime. So that seems incredibly prophetic all those years ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the description, that paragraph by this French guy, I think he is, from 1981. So give you an idea of how far away in the past people were already seeing how things were going to go. And so one of the things I was doing quite late last night is I'm a member of a group called Be Informed, and every now and again I'll have a look to see what they've got to say, and sometimes it's just the same old, and other times it's something really interesting. So again, there'll be something in the description about that. So, here we go. We're just leaving Somerset and entering Devon. There's a sign there shows. There we go. So, another aspect to all this. One of the things I was aware of last night is, because I allowed myself to have the time, and I was exploring this and exploring that about the alternative narrative, and I've also heard in the last days, literally in the last 7 days, that there's been a real change in the mainstream narrative. So the mainstream media story is not as it has been. It's been completely one point of view, and that's it. There's been no dissent, nothing. But in the last week or so, opposing points of view are being put across, most particularly doctors working in the National Health Service, who are saying no, with no intention of doing any of these things that we're expected to do as early as very early February, which is literally days away. So this has become a newsworthy item, and there are other things which are going on newsworthy as well, and we've got certain countries which are becoming more and more draconian and difficult to live in, others which are just becoming easier and easier. A simple example, Mexico, just easing off all restrictions completely, not bothering anything anymore. And you can do your own research and see which other countries are doing this, and at the same time you can also find out about the countries which are becoming more and more tyrannical to live under. And there's one begins with the letter A, and there's another that begins with the letter A. Really good examples of that. Again, you do your own research. But what it was that occurred to me yesterday evening is that I've been giving probably maybe an hour of my time to sitting there on devices looking at the stories, and I started to realise how I've been played effectively, because this is very much what the underlying intention is to create a drama and then get everyone so hooked to this drama, whether they're following and enslaved by the basic story as it is, or whether they're criticising it, questioning it, rejecting it, and coming up with a different version. So whether it's mainstream or alternative, it all seems to be designed to suck our energy and our attention away from the now and our everyday lives. So for me, well, for us today, it's very much an antidote to all that, because we're going to spend the day outside in the nature doing something practical, and that is going to be really helpful, just to remind us of what are the most important things in life, which is what are you doing with your time in the now, and what is it that you enjoy doing, what creative activities do you like. And that was very much what happened to me yesterday. I had a couple of people coming round to visit, and I just got creative, and it was cooking. That was my thing, and I cooked this, and I cooked that, and I cooked something else, and I really enjoyed doing that, so that kept me very much in the moment. So this is one of the things that I'm leading towards understanding, is it's great having awareness of what's going on, and it's quite useful to realise that from a shamanic point of view the timelines are actually in a state of flux. We had a point where they all were coming together, and now they're diverging, and it depends on where you live as to what your experience of life is like at the moment. And I have someone who I know, and where she lives, she has to spend money to have a test, which is an invalid test, just so that she can go shopping. And apparently that is actually the situation has been ramped up even more, and she may need to have some kind of a extra passport to be able to go shopping. So it's getting this mad, it really is. We know this is how it is, but my main thing to say is we deal with what we have to deal with. And also it's a really good thing to remember, what is it that you like to do, what gives you joy, what gives you pleasure, what causes you to feel creative, and make sure you do plenty of those things. And then the other thing that came up, which was something my partner mentioned yesterday, which is that at the moment, in order to be complete people, we sometimes need to make rather odd choices just to create a balance. And so that's something I've been made aware of. So if you're going in one direction, then it's a good idea to be aware of that and find something to balance it with. So if it's all a bit about duty, find something that's creative, gives you enjoyment and pleasure. Very important thing to do in these times. So that's all I wanted to say with this morning. Thanks very much. Cheers.